The Diamond Award is presented annually to an alumna or an alumnus whose constructive service to the world exemplifies the mission and values of St. George's School. There are 33 past winners of the Diamond Award, and today we add to that illustrious group Dr. B.J. Miller, a member of the St. George's class of 1989 and a nationally recognized physician in the area of palliative care, holistic health care for people with serious or life-threatening illnesses. Our school mission statement declares that the specific objectives of St. George's are to give its students the opportunity to develop to the fullest extent possible the particular gifts that are theirs and to encourage in them the desire to do so. Later, it is hoped that their lives will be ones of constructive service to the world and to God. Dr. Miller's commitment to optimizing the quality of life for patients diagnosed with terminal illnesses and to helping their families begin to heal makes him the unanimous choice of the trustees and an exemplary candidate of the John B. Diamond Award. The co-founder of California-based Mental Health, Dr. Miller and his team help patients reframe the narrative of their dire diagnosis and rethink the way they approach their well-being. A physician colleague of Dr. Miller's once called him the best I've ever seen at understanding the pain and suffering of others. He also added, the most remarkable part is that BJ is filled with joy and humor. At St. George's, Dr. Miller found joy in being a member of the chapel choir and the chamber singers. He loved his Latin and English classes and the cycling club. Early on, he says he missed home and focused on his academics. But he also says he discovered something about himself at St. George's that perhaps is directly connected with the life he was called to today. He learned to persevere, gained some independence, and realized how important it was to rely on others. He also says he gained a hearty realization of the world beyond his own thoughts. After Prize Day, Dr. Miller attended Princeton University. Following a life-threatening accident in his sophomore year, Dr. Miller spent many months recovering from his injuries. Still, he graduated with his class with a degree in art history. Later, he realized his experience gave him a unique perspective on life that he could use to help others. Dr. Miller went on to earn his medical degree at the University of California, San Francisco as a Regents Scholar and completed his internal medicine residency at Cottage Hospital in Santa Barbara, California, where he served as chief resident. He completed a fellowship in hospice and palliative medicine at Harvard Medical School, with clinical duties split between Massachusetts General Hospital and the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. Also author and public speaker, Dr. Miller is widely known for his advocacy for a healthcare system that minimizes suffering and for his 2015 TED Talk, What Really Matters at the End of Life, which has more than 12 million views. He has been interviewed by numerous national media organizations, including NPR, and was the subject of a feature in the New York Times, One Man's Quest to Change the Way We Die. For his gifts of empathy and compassion, as well as his extraordinary ability to help us all realize the joy in living well, please join me in honoring Dr. B.J. Miller, the 2025 recipient of the John B. Diamond Award.
Boy, oh, wow, okay. Thank you, Dana. It's going to take me a minute. Yeah, I have done some public speaking, but this is different. This is, maybe it's because I care what you guys think. Sometimes I reassure myself in talks that, what's the worst that can happen? Well, actually, lots of things can happen. And I do care what you guys think. So thank you for being here. Hi, Woody. Let me get started. Start with thank yous. I'd like to thank all of you guys for being here. Thank you. It's a Steve Martin joke. Anyway, Headmaster Wirtz, it's a pleasure meeting you today. I can see in your eye you love this place already, and that is, what more could we ask? Trustees for bestowing this enormous weapon of an award to me. Thank you so much, Dana. And classmates, you guys, it's so wild to see you. I just can't, again, this is going to be weird, hard. Mom, Dad, Cousin Margot, Teresa, Justin, Hi, you guys. Thank you. These are the people who make my life actually happen at all in the first place. And my parents, thank you for trusting me to leave home early. That was a very hard moment, a very good moment. So, okay, maybe we'll get on with it now that the drugs have taken effect. That's also a Steve Martin line, sorry. Okay. Let's start maybe with your phone call, Dana. It's a funny thing. You guys are aware of this imposter syndrome, maybe? You've heard of such a thing? Kind of why me? It was an odd phone call, a beautiful phone call. No, you handled it beautifully. It was odd to me to be receiving an award because it just sort of throws you into a little tizzy. Why me? Does he know I don't like vegetables? Have they looked at my search history? I want to come up with all the reasons I should not be getting such an award. Also, it's kind of hard for me to say what I have done for this place. I will talk tonight, not too long, I hope, about what this place gave to me. But what have I given to this place to deserve an award? Apparently the history of this award goes way back to John Nicholas Brown being the first recipient of what was called, I think, the Distinguished Alum Award or something like that. And he gave us this chapel. For me, I don't know what to say about what I've given this place. I suppose that's not for me to say. But I can tell you what I took from it. And it's a very long list. I'll shorten it for tonight. And here you are giving me more. You gave me an award tonight. So, Mom and Dad, you spent your money very well. Prep school. Okay, prep school. What the heck? Why do we call it prep school? It's not just for the IZODs and, preppy school. It's prep school, preparatory school. For what exactly? What are they preparing you for? What did they prepare me for? I suppose one answer to that question is college. Sort of a simple answer to that question is the next thing, essentially. Learning how to learn, I think, is a really good one. Maybe sort of a modicum of independence at a relatively young age. Leaving home for me, that was hard. It took a while, but as a mama's boy, I needed it. And maybe some self-starterism. I was maybe not a silver spoon in my mouth, but maybe a pewter or a copper spoon in my mouth, and I had it pretty easy in a lot of ways, but here I had to fend for myself. I had to find my own way. But it's not like I was in a wilderness. I was here. So I was lost while being held, and that was a magical combination. So all of that would be enough. Thank you for that. But it's not all there is. Other things. It took me a while to kind of really feel the weight of what I learned here. Life had to siphon it out of me. So take you through a little bit of my experience here. I was not a very happy student in a lot of ways. You guys might remember. I don't know. But for 2 of my 3 years here, I'd say I was just very sort of lost, confused in some ways, discombobulated. I came early for football, and the reason I thought I got in here at all is because I had some athletic promise at some point in my life. I came here for early football in my first year, fourth form. So I come a little bit early. I was just meeting everyone, just leaving home. And I had mononucleosis that whole summer. After freshman year back home, like the next day, I was in bed for the whole summer. So by the time I came here, I was rail thin. On my first day of football, someone threw me a ball, I just dropped it. And quickly my confidence plummeted. So by day one, I felt really kind of scared. What I thought I knew, I didn't already. And then there was sarcasm. What the heck is sarcasm? I did not know. A little Midwestern boy, that was news to me. I've since come to love sarcasm. Thank you, Venom. It took me a while, though, so I just didn't get the humor. I was just so wayward. It was probably walking into walls. I have no idea what I appeared. But boy, awash in insecurity, that was me. And so I retreated where I could. That was academics and choir. Choir, beautiful, was immediate love, an easy love. But academics was really, I just studied hard because I didn't know what else to do with myself. I remember a few times I broke into the library on Saturday nights. It's an odd thing to be doing. But that was, I had to put myself somewhere. And I knew I really couldn't go home. Bill Skank, actually Betsy, where are you? I'm going to talk to you. Oh. There's more for you coming. Anyway, you're reminding me about the Bonfire of the Vanities and the Tom Wolfe book. And that said the quote that you can never go home again. And I felt that here. I felt like I had left home. I needed to stick it out. And the lessons that were going to come my way might just take a minute. So there's a phrase for this sort of suite of experiences, this feeling, this sense that I'm describing. The phrase is existential crisis. And that sounds kind of heady, maybe. I don't know. But I imagine it's a word we're going to hear more and more, a phrase we'll hear more and more of, whether it's climate issues or political issues. I mean, I think you've come to see that I would imagine most of us are in some amount of an existential crisis all the time. It's not such an exotic thing. I think it's actually very common. And while the word existence sort of suggests like a threat to your existence, yeah, like a life or death kind of feeling, that's true enough. But what that tends to spark in people, and I've seen it in my own experience and many others, is a sort of a threat to our sense of meaning, a threat to my sense of self, the person I thought I was. That's very much an existential crisis. Daniel, your call gave me a little existential crisis. I started questioning everything very quickly. My experience here, as I just laid out, was very much an existential crisis. So that clears a space, kind of blows a big hole in you, or who you thought you were, the reality you thought that was. But in time, what that also provides, that hole, provides a space. And into that space can pour many, many things. So for me here, as I began to sort of fill in these holes, it was music. Oh boy, I cannot even say enough about the experience at choir or chamber singers, or with Justin in our room listening to The Who or whatever else we were doing. Beauty became another thing. You know, it took me a while to make some friends here, and so I sort of turned to the inanimate world, the non-human world, and it may sound odd, but it felt like I made friends with trees, or that view, or this architecture. It turns out I think I'm something of an animist, really. At the time it felt odd, but now I see it as just connection. That's what I thirsted for, was connection. And it was all over the place. Maybe not as I had imagined, but there nonetheless. In a word, this is the world of aesthetics, the world of the perception, of the world of our senses. And this place deeply brought me to an aesthetic plane. I don't know about you guys. I mean, why did I come to St. George, besides it was one of the schools that let me in, was that view. You know, I think it's still on the core, I think it's probably still in the catalog. You know, it keeps working. You know, that view really sells itself. And it's not just a pretty thing. It's a beautiful thing. It's the truth incarnate. It's nature. And it helped me realize that we humans are also nature. That was novel. I remember in a lot of high school classes, English stories, it was sort of man, humans, man, as it was said back then, versus nature, as though we were separate. But here I got to begin to get a glimpse of the falseness of that statement. So there were humans too. Here, there, Betsy and Steve. Betsy, Betsy Leslie, a woman who who was in the admissions department, who helped me get here. And then 8 zillion times you saved my life by taking me for a sandwich to D'Angelo's. I mean, my math may be off, but it's close. I mean, I would have been lost. I was lost without you. And I got to be lost with you, which was perfect. You want me to stop talking about you? Okay, got it. Anyway, that lady, thank you, Betsy. And also the world outside of these walls. Remember being able to bike into town. You guys won't remember, there was a restaurant called Purini's in town. Some of you may, yeah. It was awesome. It was this Italian restaurant. The woman there, Marie Perini, and her son Danny ran it. And it became a home away from home for me. And that saved my life. Calzone saved my life many, many times.
You always got the calzone.
Yeah, thanks, Matt. You're right. Yes, I did. I friggin' love calzone. I still do. Those calzones factored heavily in my therapy when I got injured, which I'll get to that in a second. Good memory, Matt. Okay, so where the heck am I? Okay. The thing is here, I guess maybe it's obvious, maybe I'm beating this sweet horse, but I would not have felt these connections that aren't quite so obvious. I wouldn't have felt all sorts of love if I hadn't had the need, if I hadn't fallen apart, if I hadn't been lost, if I hadn't had this sort of existential crisis, if I hadn't been shaken down by the sort of difference with reality versus what I thought it was. So that brings me to about 1.5 years after I left this place, sophomore year of college. Came into contact with a little electrical current on top of a commuter train, and nearly died and lost some parts. That what you could easily call an existential crisis. But I knew something by then. All the experiences I was just describing were absolutely relevant to me in that moment and have everything to do with not only the fact that I survived, but that I left the hospital and started living again. There is a direct line. And on I went because of these very lessons and impulses. Yeah, I became a doctor, but that's sort of a title. It was just a way to learn a bag of tricks, to be in front of people who were going through something hard, who were learning that life wasn't what they thought it was, who were in touch with how vulnerable we all are all the time. And this degree helped me sit with them, helped me be with them. And so on I go, learning from them, teaching them, in this sweet little care loop. And it's been my life's work, and I love it very much. Also, direct line to my experiences here. You get to learn about death, too. It's a big old subject, a mighty one. And I get to learn about it in advance of my own. I don't know that I'm going to have a lot of advice for you students, per se, but one of them might be, if you're interested in dying well, you can start today. I would not wait till you're on death's door to think about it, because it promises to teach you so much more than you can imagine. If you can come in touch with the ephemeral nature of your life and everything, you will begin to appreciate it. You'll begin to serve it and it you. That begins now, not when you're on death's door. I work with a lot of people who waited and waited and waited to see these truths, even though they're all around us. And they die with way more suffering than they need to. So start now. Life is really the best preparation for death. And by that I mean a real life, an honest life. That's what I get to feel with patients. People are finally ready to be honest. I don't mean with each other as much as with themselves. So, let's see here. Where am I? Well, I think maybe I can, just a few more things. Obviously, I love existential crises. That may sound a little sick. I don't mean to fetishize hardship or suffering. We shouldn't be creating more of this stuff. It just happens, there's plenty of it. Life will, you suffer. What's the first thing you do when you come out of the womb? You wail. It's welcome to the earth. So this is elemental. It's not that something you did wrong that makes you suffer. It's just you're alive. That's why you suffer. So, but let's not, like I say, give it too much power. You don't have to make the stuff. It'll come. But the fact is, what you will learn is how inseparable joy and sorrow are. You really can't, as far as I can tell, you can't really get to one without the other. One makes space for the other. It's a very sweet loop. So you want to have a joyful life? Get in touch with all that you don't know. Touch your insecurities. Be aware of all that you don't quite understand. Or nod to it at least. Time is helpful with that. It'll take a while to see all these truths or put them in your bones. But time is, everything changes, and that can be hard, but it also is great news. When you're in hardship, it'll change. There's a Buddhist parable that my girlfriend taught me that goes something like, a man's horse, this man lives in a village, he's got a horse. The horse runs away. Villagers come around and say, "Oh, I'm so sorry, you lost your horse, isn't that terrible?" The man says, "We'll see." The next day, the horse comes back with 2 other horses in tow. 2 wild horses came with. Villagers say, "Hey, this is so great. Congratulations." And the guy says, "We'll see." Next day, the man's son gets on the horse, one of the horses, falls off, breaks his leg. Villagers say, "Oh, that's so hard. I'm so sorry. What a bummer. How terrible." Man says, "We'll see." The next day, the army comes around to recruit, to draft young men into the army. But they pass over the one with the broken leg. Villagers say, "Hey, you're so lucky your son has survived." The man says, "We'll see." And so it goes. We'll see. You'll see. You don't get to know, and you don't have to know. There's a little bit of relief in that. So, maybe that's enough on that point. But I guess maybe what I'm saying this place gave me, in short, was a sort of vital discomfort, a sweet doubt about myself, who I was. And that allowed me to see that myself is this invented, created thing that's happening all the time, just like reality. And a part of reality is you. You're making reality. So, love yourself all you might be. Each of us is loaded with potential, but we need to keep bumping into life to summon it from ourselves. It doesn't just appear. Like my friends when I was in the hospital, who showed up so compassionately. I had no idea how kind my friends were. Really. I knew they were good people or something like that, but the only way I got to see how sweet and tender they were was because I got hurt. So, I'm coming to the end. Don't worry. I appreciate your time, guys. I know this is an extra chapel on a Friday. Let me just say this. Especially for you students, you are so much more creative than you think. Some of you might not identify as an artist or something like that. But think about daily life. It is filled with improv. You are making stuff up all the time. You are creative because you are alive. Reality is not fixed, and neither are you. And I'll close on one of my favorite subjects, a very happy one in a way, which is grief. I love it. I love it so much. It's so friggin' hard. It hurts. But it's a critical part of life, part of this package deal, and it goes hand in glove with existential crises. And I'll just finish with this hope that you and we, as this community, but as a larger, wider society, especially these days, that we learn how to grieve. I think some of the animosity, the hardship, the cruelty that's in the world right now is really misplaced grief. Grief will show you what you love, and that will show you who you are and who you want to become. It'll honor what you have lost, including the person you thought you were, and eventually it'll nudge your eyes to see all that you and we still have. And with this kind of practice of falling apart, getting back up, discombobulating, recombobulating, deforming, reforming, it's a sweet rhythm. Dance to it, whatever you want to sing to it, just experience it. It happens all the time, every day. And if you take into heart what's actually happening, including the grief, there's a chance that you and I will learn how to appreciate all that we have while we still have it. Wouldn't that be nice? Like this place. Like each other. Like yourself. Whoever that is. Okay. Thank you very much for listening.